Welcome to Unraveled Mind. My name is Antonio, and I'm here with you today to talk to you about focus, the most important resource in your life. Stay tuned, and let's play. This is the fourth in my Life Mastery series, and as always there will be a link in the description to the full playlist for you to watch. In this video, I'll talk about what is focus and why is it the most important resource. I will talk about macro versus micro focus. I will talk about the two main reasons why people fail to achieve their goals in life. And finally, how you can improve your focus and what can you do about this concept we are going to discuss today. So I want to cover a lot, so let's just jump right in. And your mind cannot really keep all the information coming in from your senses, from the environment. It cannot keep everything in your conscious mind. We talked a little bit about this in my awareness video, but just to make clear what I mean by focus is really what you choose to look at and pay attention to, and what you choose to ignore. Because since you cannot keep everything in mind, it's necessarily that things you are going to pay attention to certain things and you are going to ignore other things. Of course, this is neither good or bad. When you're doing focused work and you're focusing on one task, you're just using all your attention on this one task and ignoring everything else. If someone is dancing in the background and you're doing very focused work, you can completely ignore that, so that is good. So when I mean by ignoring it, that you ignore certain things, it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just the way the thing is. You cannot keep your focus on everything all the time. So your focus can also be seen as your perspective. It's the perspective that you have in the moment, is your point of view, is what you're choosing to focus on and not focus on. Why then do I say it's the most important resource? And I would like to introduce another resource that most people have in contention for the most important resources in their lives, and a lot of people say it's time. And they use a funny analogy, which is, so what does Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and you all have in common? You all have the same 24 hours in a day. And this is true. So this is an argument a lot of people use to say that time is really what's important. It's the great equalizer. Everyone has the same amount, therefore everyone has the same opportunities during the day to achieve things. And but my problem with this is that time, it's not a resource that you can use or waste. You don't waste time. You're always using the time. You're always experiencing life. You're always going through things. You're always going through experiences during your day, which is what life is about. And that's how time is used, is for you to experience this moment right now. And that's always happening. So when people use this thing that at the end of the day, they look back at their day and they say, I've wasted my day, or I wasted my time doing things, or no, today I was really nice and I got a lot done and I really used my day effectively. So what are they thinking when they say these things and they make these distinctions? In the end, it's the focus. For me, if I say at the end of the day, I wasted my day, what does that tell me? Is that I didn't focus on the things that I wanted. And if I say my day was great, I got a lot done, I used the day effectively, what it's really behind these words is that I used my focus, I focused on the things that I wanted to focus on. So it's not about the time, it's how you use the time. And the way that you measure the way you use the time is through focus. Did I focus on the things that I wanted, or did I not focus on the things that I wanted? And as is also evident by what I just described, it really has a great impact in how we feel, in our emotions. The things that we focus on has this strong impact. Because as I just said, it's not about how you spent your day, it's whether you feel like you focused on the things that you wanted, and that makes you feel good. And if you don't get that feeling that you focused on the things that you wanted, that makes you feel bad. And even more generally, in a situation, the way that you focus on that particular situation also greatly influences how you feel about that particular situation. A common and easy example to understand is, imagine you are in a party. Of course, there's a lot going on in a party, but imagine that you're focusing on the people sitting in the sofa looking bored and feeling bored. And that's what you focus on. You're going to get the perception that the party is boring, and maybe you'll also start to feel those emotions. There's nothing going on, and everything is lifeless here. There's no enjoyment to be had. It's boring. But on the other hand, if you choose to focus on what's going on outside, and maybe outside there's lots of people having fun conversations and playing games, and it's a lot more lively out there. And if you choose to focus on this side and ignore what's going on inside the house, in the sofa, in this situation, then you'd see the party is very lively. Everything is exciting here. It's fun, it's playful. And of course, none of this is the complete picture. The complete picture is a mixture of those. But just to prove my point, it has an effect on how we feel and perceive a situation. That's also why focus is really important, because it's the thing we use to tell ourselves which emotions should we be feeling. If we focus on something, then we are telling our mind, this is how I want you to interpret this situation, and then give me the emotion that is appropriate in this situation. If we focus on something else, then it's the exact same thing. If we focus on the boredom, then the body reaction from you focusing on that thing is feelings of boredom. If you focus on something playful and fun, then the body reaction that you're going to feel is feelings of fun and playfulness. So it's also very important to pay attention to focus, just because of this one distinction. It really affects the way that you feel throughout your day. And if it's this important, and it has such an effect on us and our emotions, and it also has an effect on how we use our time, and whether we have this perception that we have time well spent versus time wasted, so why don't more people pay close attention to focus and make a more conscious effort to direct it? And that's the thing. Focus is always present. As I said, you are always doing this filtering of focusing on and paying attention to certain things and ignoring some others. That's always taking place. It's not that focus either happens or doesn't happen. Focus is also always present. It's just a matter of, is it unconscious or conscious? And there's a distinction here, because you cannot keep, as I say, always conscious focus on things, because you try to, when you go for an exam in university, or you're doing very focused work, after 1, 2, 3 hours, whatever it is, you get mentally tired. And that's the thing. Making conscious focus, or focusing consciously, requires some degree of effort. It's not a constant effort. It depends, and we'll discuss a little bit more, but it does require some effort. And the thing is, when you do this filtering, when you let your unconscious do this focusing for you, then it requires no effort at all. And that's why most people leave this resource of focus to their subconscious. Their subconscious is taking charge in what they are focusing on, what they are not focusing on, and therefore they don't require this effort, so it's easier in that sense. And what I think and what I want with this video is to really provide you reasons and to make you feel excited about the possibility of what happens if I take a little bit more ownership of what I'm focusing on. What if I'm a little bit more intentional and more conscious with how I employ this resource of focus. And another distinction that I would like to make here is between macro and micro focus. And these are terms that are known especially in the business environment, through other names. They can be seen as strategy versus tactics, as leadership versus management, and of course there's a lot of overlap between what I mean in this sense by macro focus and micro focus and these other concepts. But to try to make them a little bit more clear, the macro is of course the higher level, the bigger picture. The macro is lower level, it's more specific. Micro is specific, it's measurable, it's tangible. Macro is high level, it's more abstract and less tangible. And why is it important to make this distinction? Is I think that in society in general, and of course it's in general, it's not 100% true, but I see we tend to focus a lot on the micro. And what I mean by this is there's a lot of focus on productivity. There's a lot of focus on doing things more efficiently, effectively. And of course, that's all good. That's always good to improve our systems, to optimize things. But sometimes we lose track of the big picture of why we are doing these things. And that's why my focus in this video, but also in my coaching practice, in my own life, I tend to pay more attention on the macro, even though I'm not saying that the macro is more important or it's better or the micro is worse. They both have their place, and we need both of them to succeed. But I tend to place more importance or more focus on this macro focus because, it's what gives me this ultimate destination. It's what keeps me focused on where I want to go. Because you can get lost in doing things, which lower level things that initially could be aligned with where we want to go, but if you don't reevaluate, if you don't check whether you're getting closer or not to your goal, you can be doing things but not getting any closer. And it's this that I think is a big danger, and why I like the macro very well. And in order to also exemplify this concept with a quote from a very famous person, Sun Tzu, the Chinese general who wrote The Art of War. And he puts it brilliantly, of course, from a military background, but I think it also illustrates very well what I'm trying to get at with the micro versus macro. He says, "Strategy without tactics is the slowest path to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat." And that's, I think, puts it very well. Because as long as you keep focused on where you want to go, as long as you know what you want and why you want it, the how will come in time. As long as you keep that focus, you will figure out the how. Even if you have to test a few things, even if you have to fail and see, does this work now? So what do? I still want this, so this doesn't work. Let's try something new. Let's try something new. Does it work? Not. So it's always important. The macro should be the guiding direction. And of course, because now we already talked about some other concepts in this life mastery. So we talked about awareness, authenticity, and they all help keep track of this macro focus that is important for us. And why is it important? It goes really well into my next topic, which is the 2 reasons why people fail in life. Or not fail in life, of course that's too strict, but why do people fail to achieve their goals in life? And this comes from my experience, from talking with friends, talking with clients in my coaching practice, and it all comes down, from my perspective, to 2 reasons. Either you give up on achieving this goal, or you forget about this goal, and therefore you don't achieve them in the end. And when I mean that macro focus is important, and why focus is important, is an important resource in your life, it's because what prevents you from forgetting about your goals? Because really, if you want something in life, if it's really important to you, make sure you don't forget it. Make sure you don't forget the why it's important to you and what is it that you want. Because as long as you keep this focus, you will achieve it no matter what. It may take 1 week, 1 year, 1 decade, but as long as you stay committed and you keep reminding yourself of what you want, you will make progress. It can be slow, of course, if you're not using the right tactics. It can be slow, but it will you are going in that direction. And that's fundamental. And I think that's probably the main reason why people don't make the changes that they want in their life, is because they forget, they get distracted. And it's completely normal. And it doesn't make you a bad person, or it's not necessarily something wrong with you. It's because life is oriented in a way that distracts us. There's this saying, life gets in the way, and we forget our dreams. And it's just a shame, because it doesn't have to be this way. I feel it in myself as well, because sometimes I come to a conclusion, or I reach a decision, or I make a goal a certain day, and I'm full of excitement. I'm very committed. I'm sure I'm gonna get it. But then I go to sleep that day. The next day when I wake up, part of that enthusiasm gets lost just from sleeping. And if I don't make an effort to reconnect back and use my focus, my macro focus, to refocus on this, then this excitement and this motivation will continue to dissipate, and eventually I'll forget about it until sometime later, 1 year, 2 years later, I was like, I wanted to have made progress towards this goal and nothing happened. Is it still important to me? Yes, but I completely forgot about it. And so don't let that happen to you. This macro focus and what I'm talking about, it's really important for us not to forget about it. And the other reason when people give up, I will address in another video in this series about patience and persistence, and how to make sure that we don't give up on what's important to us. And the last point that I would like to talk about is really, so now we have a bit better understanding of what is focus, the many distinctions I've tried to offer you here and present here. So, but in the end, what can I do about it? What can you do about it? I think I would like to spend some time in this video just addressing that. And I'm really, and this is why it was one of my first videos, I think awareness alone is already a great step for changes to happen in our lives. So the fact that you are aware of this distinction of what is focus, of that it is a resource that you can employ. Of course, it requires some effort when you are consciously choosing to focus on something, but you can do it. And just knowing this, it really already lets your mind, whenever it sees an opportunity, that maybe I can focus on this way. Maybe I need to keep focusing on things that are important to me. And just knowing about it and having this awareness, I think it's already a very important first step. But I wouldn't like to stop here, and so I would like to offer you a few ways that maybe focus can be improved, and maybe ways that you can make the most out of this resource that I think it's one of the most important we have in our lives. So one way, and where I would like to start, is really, I mentioned this in my How to Make Sense of Meditation video, but there's a specific type of meditation called concentration meditation, which is very effective, and it's designed to improve your focus. And I encourage you to go back and see this video. I'll leave a link in the description somewhere. And just, if you think that you're not very happy with your focusing abilities, maybe you get distracted too easily, maybe it's not easy for you to sit down and work in a concentrated manner on something, then I recommend this technique in order to improve your focus a little bit, in order for it to be more easy when you have to use this you have to consciously use this focus towards things that are important to you. But as I said, this can be a little bit easier if you go through meditation, but it always requires a degree of effort for you to consciously focus on things. It's always easier to focus on things that you like as opposed to things that you don't like. So if you have a positive reaction towards something, it's much easier for you to focus on it. And I'm sure it's very easy for you to understand, but still I would like to present an example. So imagine you go to a classical music concert. There's a beautiful orchestra playing classical music. And imagine you brought a friend along. And your friend is super excited about classical music. He listens to it. He knows the difference between Mozart, Bach, and all these other composers, Beethoven. And you're more casual. You sometimes listen to a few things, but you're not so interested as him. And in this concert, you're going to see your friend is going to be able to stay focused, is going to be engaged with the music, with the concert, is going to stay engaged the entire way, the full 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is going to stay engaged and focused. Probably since you are not so interested as him, you can stay focused for a while, but then you see your focus starts to wander. Your mind starts thinking about other things. You start thinking about dinner. You start thinking of, well, it's been half an hour, it's been fun, but when does this end? And it's completely normal because you don't have the same... you don't like it as much, therefore you don't have such a strong pull, so you require more focus and more effort for you to keep attention on the classical music concert. So one way that I really recommend, and I do this with my clients, is if you want to achieve something and if you want to focus on a specific area of your life, one of the things you should really look into doing is how can I make this pleasurable? How can I make myself like this activity so it's easier for me to do it? It's easier for me to focus on it, because while it's not pleasurable, it's always going to require more focus. It's always going to require more willpower. I didn't touch on willpower, but that's a little bit of overlap. For me, focus, it's not about resisting or forcing myself to do anything. Whereas willpower tends to be, I use willpower to resist the temptation. I use willpower to force myself to do anything. So focus is more neutral, but it can also overlap with this. And if you focus on something you don't like, then it also requires more willpower to keep the focus there. Finally, and the most useful, but also probably the hardest and requires more attention for us to implement, is remember what I said. Conscious focus requires effort, but unconscious focus requires no effort at all because you are doing it all the time. So what you can do is delegate to your subconscious mind to do the focusing you want. So imagine that you want to focus on a specific goal you have. You want to lose some weight, start a new company, you want to learn a new language. And most people, they have to keep track of this, and they have to keep reminding themselves that, I want to keep working on learning this in a new language. I have to keep reminding me that, I need to eat healthy, I need to go to the gym, whatever it is. But if you can find a way to delegate to your subconscious mind, then you no longer need to spend this effort, because it happens naturally. You are always going to be focusing on these things that you want because your subconscious is doing it for you. And sounds very great. So how do I do this? This is a process. It's a process because your subconscious mind is not your enemy, but it's not your friend. Your subconscious mind just operates on very specific rules. And I'm going to make videos about the subconscious in the future. But just specifically about this topic, I would just like to say that habits is a very good way. If you implement certain habits that remind you and allow you to focus on the things that you want, then that is a way that you can delegate to your subconscious mind, because habits are automatic. And in doing your habits, you're already focusing on things. Because if a behavior is automatic, but when you're going through that behavior, your mind is focusing on certain things. So if you implement the habits that create the focus in the things that you want, then you effectively delegate it to your subconscious mind, and it comes effortlessly. Other ways that you can do this is through anchoring. You can anchor certain things in your environment. You can train yourself that whenever you see a certain thing in your house, you focus on your goals. A good way to do this is having a paper with your goals on the wall. It's very easy because it forces you to focus on that, and it serves as a trigger. But then you don't have to focus on the goals. As you see the paper and your mind automatically does this. Other ways is priming, is putting things and arranging situations in your life that also serve as this trigger for your subconscious mind to focus on these things. So I will go into more detail now. I just wanted to offer you these possibilities, and of course I will talk about them for sure in the future with more detail, but I would like to leave them to you in case now you were wondering, so what do I do now with this concept of focus? What can I do? And of course, there's a lot that you can do, and I want you to leave feeling inspired. That's my goal with this video, is that you have this wonderful resource in your life, which is focus, and you can use it to focus on anything. You can focus on how bad your life is and feel miserable, and you can spend your focus that way. You can focus on how great the things you want to do are, and you focus on that and feel the emotions that are triggered by you focusing on these things. And you have control. And of course, it's not easy. It's not natural. We are not taught these concepts in school. We are not trained to direct our focus very well. So that's why meditation helps. But just knowing about them, I really hope that now you pay a little bit more attention how you are using your focus in your life, how you are using these wonderful resources we have that our mind allows us to do. And I hope really that it improves and helps you in your life in achieving your ultimate goals, whatever they are. So I hope this was helpful to you. I will come back with new videos in the future, but right now I think I will end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, please feel free to check out my website, check out the other videos in this series. Links will be in the description. Sharing, liking, subscribing to my channel, they all help me and help my channel get more visibility. So I would be really appreciative if you could do these things. But nevertheless, I just thank you, and I'm very grateful for the time you chose to spend with me and the focus that you chose to spend watching this video. So until next time.